guys, Mark here. We're talking about discipleship one-on-one with your students. This is not just for a youth pastor, this is for youth workers. Actually, if you think about it, if you're a believer and you're an adult, you're called to student ministry because we're called to pour in to the younger kids. And there are probably a lot of kids, a lot of adults that could do this in your church, but they think it's too complicated and they're not good enough Christians or not smart enough Christians to do it. So what we're talking about is how do you do discipleship one-on-one that anyone could do, and to a point that the kid could get it enough that he could pour into a middle schooler. Because I've got high schoolers right now discipling my middle schoolers. That's when it gets real. It's when they start handing their faith off to somebody else, yeah? So when I meet with a kid, we've done the call, we've asked them to meet with us once a week. The first time we get together, we're going to talk about 3 things every time we meet. We're going to talk about family, we're going to talk about friends, we're going to talk about school. All that before we get into our scripture. Because listen, this is not me teaching a lesson. This is me talking to Brian. This is me and Brian, life on life, getting into each other's lives a little bit. So I want to know, where do you live? Who do you live with? What's that like? What's the hardest part of being in your family? All this kind of stuff. And over time, I'm going to learn a lot about him because I want to. This isn't a formula. This is a friendship, right? So I would want to get to know him like I want to get to know anybody. The guys that I pour into are my friends. And so Brian being my test guy, who I've got to get approval now to say his name, but we talk about life. We talk about his family. We talk about school. What's that like? Is it homeschool? Is it private school? Is it public school? Man, that's 3 different worlds, bro. What's it like at school? Do you have friends at school? How does that work? Are you on a team? Did you try out for a team but not make the team? What's going on there? Because that's what's on their mind. Their friends, their family, and school. That's what's going on. And if they don't connect Jesus to that, then Jesus stays compartmentalized on Sunday. So we talk about life first. Family, we talk about school, we talk about friends. How's that going? Relationships. What's happening in friendships, right? Now, guess what? When we get into God's Word, we know what we're looking for. We know how God's going to speak into our lives because He always does that, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to pick a book of the Bible that's doable, that's short, that we can finish, so we feel like we completed something pretty soon, right? So usually I go to the book of James because James is really practical and it's the first book of the Bible I read. We'll go to Philippians because Philippians talks a lot about joy in hard times. We'll talk about Galatians, depends on the kid, because Galatians gets more into people thinking they need to be good enough for God versus Jesus just being enough to save us. There's a lot of different things in there. So James is probably the easiest, especially if you're new at pouring into somebody, because James is just boom, boom. It's just literal and perfect. And you just read it and it says, you need to not do this so much. You need to remember Jesus is like this. It's perfect. So we're going to sit down. We got the book of James, and we're going to read just a little bit at a time. And I tell my students this a lot. You can treat your time in the Word like ketchup, or you can treat it like marinade, right? You can just squirt it on your life, right? Like you do a burger, and you're halfway through the burger, you don't even taste the ketchup anymore, right? And ketchup is beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. But it's not enough. Marinade, what's the difference? Man, you take a piece of meat, you set it in marinade, and it soaks for an hour or 2. And it becomes a part of everything in it. That takes time, right? So our goal in picking this short book is not to finish it, right? Our goal is to get in the Word, soak it in just a little bit at a time. So we may read 3 or 4 verses tops, right? We're not on a sprint. So we're going to get in and we're going to say, count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds. For you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness. Count it all joy when you meet trials. That's a tough one, right? So are you supposed to just be happy when you're sad? What does that mean, right? If you go to YouTube, I have a little devotion on the book of James. And there's probably 10 or 11 videos, maybe a few more on YouTube. I think it's just Mark Hall James Bible Study. And it's me doing little 9-minute videos of the book of James. And I'm just breaking down little sections. And we're talking about what that means and what God's saying there. Not what it means to me, but what God means, right? And that might help you as you get ready. You watch one of those, then you meet with your student. But if I was going to talk about this one, I would talk about the fact that joy is deeper than happy. There are days that I'm not happy, but joy is deeper than that, right? There's plenty of days where it's sunny. There's plenty of days where it's raining, right? And we have to learn to praise him in this storm. You felt that coming, didn't you? I tried to stay away from that, but you do, right? So how does that really looking like in life? So then I start taking that, and I'm like, man, that's kind of like the thing we're praying about with your mom. You're not getting along right now, and you can't let that ruin your day. Let's know, okay, God's in this. He's going to get me through this, and joy is just knowing that God is with me and that he's walking through it with me. It might not end well every day, but God is with me. So let's start remembering that God is with us. Just little stuff. But the fact that we've sat around and talk about life so much together for 30, 40 minutes, there's where the gold is, right? Because relationship comes first for a kid. This isn't the living word to them yet, right? So I've got to start with me and you. You got to know that I love you and I approve of you and you're valued to me. Let's talk about life. Now let me show you in God's word what's helped me. And that's when the connection starts happening. Because right now, they've kind of just got faith in your faith. They don't have their own faith yet. And getting in the Word and God's Word for themselves is what's going to do it. You guys keep plugging, and we're praying for you.